Right, real quick one today. We've got another Krakow, the Wood Effect CB, AM CB, this time from Dom, who sends me a few radios. On this one he wants the mic rewiring, he wants the mic wired for it, a new power lead fitted. It comes with a grommeted power lead that's broken off there, so we'll change that. If you've watched the channel, you see I've done one of these before. I've got records for everything, so, and I've got one up on the shelf as well. So we'll give it a tune up and clean up, and you know, there is a little bit of activity on AM at the minute. I'll cut to some footage I recorded off my phone the other day of some American truckers just now. So you can see that you know, there is a bit of activity on there, and how long it will last for I don't know. So this takes the same microphone connections as the Road King, and I'll look up what they are and rewire the microphone, but we'll just use the Road King mic for the video just to get going. Right, we're powering this off of 12 volts. There we go. That's what we want to hear. We'll check we've got all the digits. Well, that all appears to be working. Shall we see if it's transmitting? Let's give it a go. It's just shy of 3 watts, just over 3 watts. Okay. And it's pulling 0.8 of an amp to do that. No low power setting on these. So, okay, let's just check to see if it's on frequency on the Randy as a rough gauge. 1 2 1 2 1 2. So it's receiving. Let's just see if it's transmitting. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Yeah, it all seems to be working so far. Well, that's a good start, isn't it? See that corrosion on the buttons on the dials? That amazingly will come off. A lot of people don't touch it because they think it's the plastic coming off, but guarantee you we'll get that off later on. I'll clean up okay. I mean, the rest of it is, you know, it's a 40-odd-year-old radio. It's in pretty good nick, really. Yeah. Right, I don't normally do AM radios, but I can do them. It's more of a fiddle. I have to use the function generator and a decade resistance box and things, so I can't get any meaningful sensitivity results on them, but I can tune the receive side up for the best reception, so to speak. But I do need to invest in an AM signal generator. It's just I don't do enough AM radios to really warrant it. Particularly the signal generator that I want. So we shall forge along anyway and do our best on the receive side, but we can certainly align the transmit, and I've got one of these myself. But the main thing with this one was the customer wanted his microphone done. We shall also make him a nice custom Krakow logo for the mic to replace the Shaman's badge, and I'll certainly ensure that it's all transmitting and receiving properly, and that's all we can do really, because these are lovely old rigs, and like I say, with the right propagation you'll be able to speak to that truck driver, what was his name, the Mr. Brown Shoes. Yeah, you can tell straight away it's been stored somewhere damp. There's a little bit of corrosion and dirt there. We'll treat the corrosion on the top and the bottom of the case there with some of that paint. I will just lightly sand that down, but we won't leave that untreated, because the radio is working at the minute as well. So I'll treat those things. I'll let that dry overnight. It's now, what is it time now? It's 10:59, nearly 11 o'clock at night. So I'll do those bits, and then the paint can dry overnight. Looking pretty tidy inside. Can't see any problems. There's a couple of capacitors down there which do look a little bit like they need looking at, so I'll take those two out first. and then we'll put the new power lead in. I'll just might as well do that now. So yeah, we'll check those capacitors. They might be okay, but they just look a bit like they might need some help, and maybe that one there a bit further down as well doesn't look too happy either. So I'll take those out and we'll test them in the meter and then put new ones in. Right, I changed 7 of the capacitors. They'd all gone high, but they weren't failures, but you can see by the way that they've receded there that they're looking for trouble. That's definitely for sure. So all those ones that have receding caps I've changed. I don't see there's any need to change any of the others. We'll now do this assembly here, which has got these you don't see this very often, but these tie down posts here. So we'll see if we can put a fresh cable. I've got a proper, from Knights, Kurt and Lindsay, I've got a proper fused cable. You've got to send it out with a fused cable. We'll see if we can get that neatly in there rather than splicing it onto the old wires. A swine to open these bung caps is Heiko caps. It's quite a clever design though. The cable feeds through and then sits. You bend the cable into a kink, and that's where you get your strain relief. It sits down inside the gland fitting like that. So you don't see it so much these days on things, but yeah, so it's a clever little design. Instead, you can see some ham-fisted engineer has been in here and bent this positive pin very near the chassis there. That's pretty poor. While we're in here, we will just check that diode is okay just there. I'll just check that with the meter now because it'll be easier to change without the wires in. Can indeed see there's a split there. The diode is no good. I think we'll put the diode, rather than push it down onto the board there, we'll just pop the diode right across the back of these terminals here. Seems much more sensible. So we'll put a 1N4001 diode in now. Some people might be thinking, well, hang on, that's only a 1 amp diode. You know, you have a 3 amp fuse in the lead. What you need to remember is that the maximum current rating of these is 1 amp, but the short circuit capacity of this is much greater, probably 10-15 amps for short circuit capacity. So the idea is that this diode will pass enough current to blow your fuse. Now, yes, if you've got a rusty nail in there or a paper clip or something, then the diode will go. But that's the general idea, that it's the short circuit capacity of this is far greater than 1 amp. It's the same with earth cables. It's the same with everything. A lot of people say, oh, you know, why is it so thin when the main conductor is much bigger? And that's why, because it's the short circuit capacity of the device that we're looking at there. There we go. A bend sits in there, and you pop that through the gap, and then pop the clamp down on the top. Just so you know, just in case you have to lug one of these out. They can be a real job to get out there, I'll warn you now. There we go, all sorted. Diode across the top. Gland all back in place. It's nice and solid. That's not going anywhere. Okie dokie. Right, well, basic tune-up then, really. Right, I decided to take the front off. We'll give that a nice little clean up in the sink downstairs, and we'll get that side. It's kind of like verdigris. We'll get that off very carefully with a toothbrush and some warm soapy water. You'll be amazed at how they'll clean up. You still do have to be a bit careful because the plastic chrome on these knobs when they're old can get flaky, so just check stuff first before you do clean it. Don't go too abrasive. You really don't need to do a great deal, but that should come off. And these buttons, I'm not going to pull these off too much, but what I should do is clean these up in place. And the actual front of it isn't too bad. That doesn't really need, I'll just give it an air dust and a wipe with a cloth, and that should be good. The PCB doesn't really need a clean, so I'm happy that that's okay. You don't want to go using product if you don't need to, because there's always a risk of doing damage with, particularly with alcohol-based cleaning products as well. So you know, you have to bear that in mind. So let's go and drop these in the sink. We'll scrub them up and bring them back, see if they look any better. You're definitely going to see a difference, hopefully. There you go, looking a lot better. By no means perfect. On the foil on some of these, they were getting a little bit close, and like I say, you don't want to go too abrasive. A fingernail is always a good test, but they certainly haven't got the green marks on them now. They look suitably vintage now. So yeah, I think basic tune-up now, and well, I painted the rust protection paint on the case. let that dry overnight. That's nice and dry. So that is actually all painted and protected. Doesn't look like it, still looks rusty, but believe me, that's all sorted. So we shouldn't get any more corrosion on that now. It's obviously just been stored somewhere not very kind, and I think the current owner is going to be storing it somewhere a bit kinder. And I think it's always lovely, like I say, with these recent lift conditions, with the our American friends appearing, and some of these very colourful truck drivers. It's lovely listening to them on vintage equipment. It really does seem right, I think. So I can see the value of these old AM rigs going up, particularly if this propagation continues. Right, that's your TX lineup on the far left. We're currently doing 2 watts. I'm hoping we can pull it up a little bit from that. So we're running the radio at 12 volts as per the back of the radio. I haven't got the service manual for this. They're popular radio, these, so it might be worth the investment. I think it's $15, but I'm kind of more interested in getting a better setup for AM here before I spend money on service manuals. But I don't want a boat anchor. I haven't really got the room for a boat anchor signal generator. I'm quite tight on space in this little office. That much better now, whereas nearest to 4 watts makes no difference at all. So that's made quite a difference. I found with my other set as well that I couldn't get much movement out of these cans. I'd be very careful with these are quite stiff. You don't want to break the ferrite, it's easy to do. But I found the most adjustment came from this green inductor here. So if you've got one of these, don't go too brutal with these. You'll find that these two will be where you'll get most of your uplift. I found that on the last set I did as well. Next thing to sort is the TX meter. We're looking at the lower scale there. We need to just pop that up to 4. Give us our 4 watts. And we do that with the right next to the green can. You see that trimmer there between the green and the blue? That's the one you do for your TX meter. And there we go. 4 on the nose. We'll just check the PA. 1 2 1 2. Well, that's nice and punchy. All this the truck drivers out there hollering for you to get out of the way, and they're not backwards in coming forwards. Been having so much fun listening to those Texan truck drivers. Absolutely fantastic, and it just shows you how good the propagation is being at the minute. It's a real treat. Right, we've adjusted that for as sensitive as we can get, and these are all RX cans, all these ones down here. I think that one there is AM modulation. I think I've worked that out on the last video. So yeah, these are all receive, all these ones, so I can update my little sketch. I know that they're all receive. And so what we'll do, just out of interest, is we'll see how that compares to the Randy on that signal. See what the difference is. So the Randy's doing better. The Randy's got a 12 dB signal. So obviously that's a bit more sensitive than this, but we'll just swap the lead back and try it one more time. So not much worse. Okay, not as good as the Randy, but we know from experience with the FM radios that that's absolutely fine, and that will work no problems at all out and about. We'll certainly do a test with Mick on it anyway. So yeah, I think we're good. That's a 12 dB signal on the Randy. Okay. Any info to touch the VCOs. The transmit frequency is that trimmer there. Okay. That little Surmet. And that's it. The squelch, like I say, I haven't really got, because I haven't got an actual level of signal to set the squelch. I'm just going to leave it. It seems about right. It seems very similar to the Randy 3. And so yeah, sensitivity wise, it's just a little bit noisier, obviously, as you'd expect, than the Randy, because it's an old set. And these were a little bit noisy, those old Krakos. But still, nonetheless, it's a nicely made unit. It's cleaned up nice at the front. I'll give it a quick clean up at the back, but I think we'll slide the covers back on this and call this one nicely done. For an extra bit of fun, we made a little Krako label there for the mic. just to make it look a bit more legit. Right, let's plug it in and see if Mick's about. Hi there, Mick. I've got this Krakow KCB4.
Krakow KCB 4004. Already featured one of these on the channel, but customers sent one of these in, Dom sent this in. We've sorted it all out, hopefully, well, with my limited AM gear that I've got here, and yes, it's certainly working okay. It'd be nice to get hold of a circuit diagram for one of these. That's what we're thinking about, Rod.
Yeah, okay, Paul, all copied. Well, copied anyway, but it's picked up a strange noise at the moment. I don't know where it's coming from, and it's
degrading your audio a little bit, but it's still readable, so let's go again.
Yeah, Rog, I think there's lots of local noise. As people know, my noise floor here is awful and it's really bad on AM, so it's a bit of a test for these sets, isn't it? But yeah, I wonder, is it come back with me, or it might just be some bit of local QRM.
I don't know what you think.
yeah, I think it's QRM as well. So should we try 35?
Yeah, Rod, let's try it. Right, we're down here. How's that sound?
Yeah, it's just as bad, to be honest. Yeah, but it is. You're still
readable, Paul.
Okay, Rog. What we'll do then we'll just quickly, if you want to stop recording there, then we'll quickly just do a quick test on the President Randy, see how that compares. Is that okay? Well, actually, on receive, this is pretty good. I've got to say, this is probably better on receive than the Randy. It's my local. Oh God, the local interference I get here is just atrocious. So yes, that is working fine on receive. I think the Randy's a bit more peppy on transmit than this, although that is doing 4 watts. So anyway, neither me or Mick have got a very good antenna set up here, so don't take this as gospel. Okay, Mick, I'm ready if you want to start recording. Okay, here we go then. So yeah, we're testing the President Randy 3 now.
The President Randy 3 now, and see what difference it is. At this end, I think the Krakow is actually better on receive than the Randy, or at least on a par with it. It's my hideous local interference that I get here, which is hampering things. So I'm quite impressed. I aligned the receive on the Krakow with an old walkie-talkie and the tone generator there, Mick, because I literally haven't got anything that I can reliably count on to do AM at the minute, but that will change, as you'll see in a video I've got coming up soon. So, yeah.
okay, Paul, all copied. I take it you dropped it there.
Yeah, Rod.
Yeah, okay. It's definitely better audio at this. It's definitely better audio at this end, coming from the President Randy. But we're still picking up some crap from somewhere. Sorry, I shouldn't use that sort of word. But definitely picking up some interference from somewhere. So, but it's AM, isn't it? So we can remember what the AM days were like. So back to you, Paul.
Yeah, Roger, giving the game away. Yeah, back in the AM days, I'm sure plenty of folks had these radios in the car, and I know
plenty of folks had these radios in the car, and I know the Krakow's this is a popular set for these, you know, these car enthusiast guys that buy up the American cars and do them up. They love this because of its the way it looks. You know, like I said, it's made of wood. It's a really lovely wood effect on the top of it. So I mean, I think they're just lovely to have on the shelf even if you don't use them. Okay, mate, that's brilliant. All it was really a comparison. I'm happy this is okay. I think the customer supplied mic, as Mick said, might be a little bit muffled sounding, but you know, you can get a new microphone, can't we? That's not an issue. But I'll send this one back. We've put a nice sticker on the front of the customer's microphone to make it look a bit more legit.
Right, okay. Thanks again for your help there, Mick, and thanks if you've been watching this episode, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Big trees, big